Ray, we had talked about the most commonly asked questions and trying to address each of those in the series of vlogs. Um, and I guess really probably the best way to address that is starting with the most commonly asked question, possibly. And that is, how much is it going to cost me? Um, do I price per square foot? How much per square foot is my new home going to be? And, I really don't have a great way to answer that for people. So I think we're probably going to take a little more time than you wanted to spend on this vlog, but let's give it a shot.
Okay, Dave.
You mentioned the thoroughness of how people are compiling their pricing, and you're right. There's really two ways to go about answering it. You can price a basic home with no frills and the owner providing things like appliances and flooring and even doing their own paintwork, as well as all of their own on-site improvements. And that way you're obviously going to get a much lower number than you would for a project where everything is done turnkey for you or all inclusive. So, for example, some people might give you an answer based on the cheapest that they could build with no site improvements and no utility hookups, paint and appliances by owner, um, all of that kind of stuff at maybe $70 or $75 a foot in our local market based on today's pricing. And I think we're ending 2017, coming into 2018. And prices are going to go up slightly. They always do, especially given the economy has started to pick up a little bit and the fact that lumber commodities have been really going up given the recent hurricane activity.
So, what is the easy way?
You're right. On the other hand, if you wanted a very thorough approach to the pricing, you would include absolutely everything, where the customer had to do absolutely nothing except enjoy their new home. And, that's probably the easiest, the less stressful, and allows us to provide them the most stress free, easiest transition of all the potentials for new builds. We can control everything, therefore, we can minimize the problems. It's a whole lot easier for us and for the customer.
So, what is it going to cost to get city water and city utilities?
For example, and let me look at some notes here just to kind of help me out. The city of Huber Heights, water and sewer lateral, if there's one present, tap-in fees are going to be about $1,000, a little less. Actual cost to hook up might be $3,000. That would mean a total cost for utility hookup for the home is about $4,000. On the other hand, if you go into Greene County where water and sewer taps are closer to $8,000 and the same cost for doing the installation, you're closer to $11,000. On a typical 2,000 square foot home, the cost of utilities in that example can range from $2 a square foot to $5.50 or even more per square foot, depending on the area you're building in.
What about a well and a septic?
Right. If you move into an environment where you're out in the country, you're easily going to have 15,000, maybe as high as $20,000 in a septic system, and usually you're going to be 10,000, maybe $15,000 in a well, depending on your specific application. And unfortunately, you don't really know what those costs are until you get that process started. But in general, if you leave an allowance in the budget for, say, 15,000 or $20,000 for the septic system, and probably somewhere 10,000, maybe 15,000 on the high side for your well, you should be in good shape. But what those costs do to the overall price per square foot of a home, you're $30,000 or more into the cost. That's $15 per square foot added to the price of a home. So again, it's really difficult to give somebody a price per square foot based on where they're going to be and the variations that come in. There could be a huge price difference from where one customer is building the exact same home in a subdivision in, let's say, Huber Heights versus even a subdivision in Springboro, where your water and sewer tap fees are going to be 10 times as much as they are in Huber, in Springboro. Or if they move out into the country and instead of having $4,000 in tying into utilities, you got $25,000 or $30,000 to hook into utilities. And over and above that, in your typical subdivision, you're going to have a driveway that's maybe 25 foot by 25 foot long, 16 foot wide. Heck, in a country type setting, we've done driveways 300, 400, 500 feet long, and that adds a significant cost. Over and above that, you're having to make arrangements for things like electric. If a scattered site, a site setting in the country, doesn't have power to that spot, you're working through engineering with DP&L or CG&E or whomever to make sure that power can be brought to the property. And then sometimes that cost gets borne by the customer, depending on multiple variations of situations. Depending on that, DP&L may cover the cost, or there might be a bill that comes to the customer. It really depends on the situation. In the case of CG&E, CG&E is always going to charge you for the wire that goes underground versus DP&L that supplies the wire. And the wire to do a primary feed to your home is kind of on the pricey side. So, there are so many things that come into play. And
What kind of costs do you think we're going to have in windows and trim?
features that the customer wants on the inside of their home. We've had customers come in and they just want they want a basic vinyl window and paint grade trim. And that's much more economical than going to a Pella wood window, for example. The Pella Pro line is what I like to use as kind of a standard or a base grade. My personal preference is the stain trim. I like the look. It's warm. It's comfortable. It feels good. And, that's just me. A lot of people really like the painted trim, but the painted trim is a less expensive approach to doing the trim in your home than what stain grade trim is. By the same token, the vinyl windows are less expensive than the wood Pella windows, the Proline series, in a number of ways. One, the vinyl windows, you don't even have to paint them. They're done. Put them in the hole, flash them, seal them, drywall wrap the opening, and you're pretty much finished. A lot of times we'll put a windowsill in and maybe a little casing apron down underneath that if the customer wants. But a Pella Proline, you're actually casing the window out and staining that window plus the trim. So, you're probably $150 to $200 more per window to go from a single hung vinyl window with a half screen. Nice window. Simonton would be probably what we'd recommend there, or the Pella window vinyl. They're both really good. They're priced competitive. It just depends on the house and the sizing as to which one's going to be the most economical. The Simonton window has got a lot of awards over the course of time. It's been a great product. In the last 5 years, maybe longer. Goodness. Anyway, Pella bought a vinyl window product, and they have done wonders with that. So I'm pretty happy with that product as well. Yeah, there's a lot of builders that are using a cheapo window that you can buy at Lowe's for under $100, and it will meet the minimum code requirements. Absolutely.
So what's the deal with inside doors? Why are they so expensive?
Yeah, doors is another area. A basic entry door 6 panel with maybe a side light, insulated steel. That's kind of a nice base grade. I'd like to upgrade that to a fiberglass door. They hold up a lot better than insulated steel do. Insulated steels are really thin, so any little thing has a tendency to dent them, and that's there forever. Fiberglass, a lot easier, a lot stronger. It's easier to paint, easier to just not have to worry about patching anything. So I think it provides the customer for a little bit of extra money, provides the customer a much higher quality of product for a long time down the road. And I think that's what most of our customers are looking for.
A beautiful house needs a great patio door.
Yeah, patio doors make a huge difference as well. We've had customers that want to go with a base grade vinyl sliding door. I usually try to recommend against that. My experience has been that the track at the bottom of that door is a toe jam. You will jam your toes into it. It's inevitable. For not a whole lot more money, you can get a really decent atrium style door where one side opens, the other side's fixed, and they look really well. And they're a whole lot easier to maintain than that vinyl track at the bottom. But to step up over and above that, yeah, it's a few $100s more. But again, the Pella Pro line has a absolutely awesome sliding door. And you've been over to Pella, you've talked to Mike. They've got a great sliding door product. It works well, one finger. It's got a nice screen. It stains up nicely. It matches everything else in the house. It's just a great product at a pretty decent price.
So what is the cost of a basement and garage going to add to my build?
Yeah, obviously, Ray, the difference of a basement. In our example, the square footage of a home is based on the actual heated living space and does not include basements or garages. So obviously, if you're going to have a basement that costs you, say, $20,000, you're adding $10 to the square foot cost of the house based on the example that we were working with. So, whether or not a house has a basement certainly does have an impact. And, adding a garage, um, you know, people can price these homes on a base price with no garage, whereas a two-car attached garage can be $20,000 or $25,000 to the price, and you're looking at another $10 a square foot added to that base $70 a foot. So you're starting to see where all of these things can kind of add up, and drive that square foot cost up. So when customers are asking about how much per square foot, it just absolutely, totally, unequivocally depends on what is the customer wanting. What do they want in their home? What are their needs? And then we try to design a home based on what the customer needs are and design that to be as economically affordable as we can so we can meet their criteria. And that aspect of being a design build firm, it allows us to do some things that going to an architect and having a pretty house designed versus us going in and designing something that suits what the customer's needs are, can save them a lot of money. A lot of times they can get a whole lot more house for less money.
How does the roof pitch affect the price of my house, man? Come on.
Yeah, roof pitch. We typically design with a 512 pitch. 512 is structurally, engineering wise, the most economical to build type of pitch. It gives you enough rise that everything sheds off good. Dimensional shingles look nice on it. It's a great way to go. And yes, there are people that really like the taller pitches, and I get that. They're beautiful. But that's a lot of extra money that the customer is spending. And, that's cool if they want to do it, but what are they gaining?
I like a roof with a steep pitch too, but should I pay that much for it?
Yeah, I know you like, and there's a lot of people that really like the taller roof pitches, and I don't mind building them. I'll build anything. That's easy. Um, Whatever customer wants, we are here to serve the customer and provide them the best quality with the best service at the most reasonable price. Now, I'm never going to be the cheapest. Don't even want to be the cheapest. Usually, the cheapest guy forgot something, or they're going to cut corners that the customer doesn't want to cut. And remind me of that in a couple minutes. I'd like to get back to some of the structural quality issues that we include that I think are money well spent for the customer. But you had asked about roof pitch, so I put together a couple of little things on that for notes. So um, again, typically we design a home with a 512 pitch. That's the most economical, best dollar for dollar value available. Many customers prefer a steeper pitch on their roof, giving them a different aesthetic perspective. While it doesn't change functionally the home in any way, shape, form, or manner, it can add significantly to the base cost. There are numerous things to consider when changing roof pitch. One, obviously, it's going to use more plywood and shingles. Two, it will require more expensive trusses with more significant engineering to support the additional size and weight loads. Three, it requires more exterior siding, whether you're using brick, vinyl, or some other type of coverage. That surface area increases. Four, there's more soffit material as you go up the rake on the larger pitch trusses. You've obviously got more soffit material. All in all, to spend another $10,000 or $12,000 for a steeper roof pitch would not be at all unusual. Um, on the other hand, you can see that adds, back to our basic example. We're adding $5 or $6 per square foot for the privilege of having a higher roof pitch. And again, I'm good. I'll build whatever the customer wants, but it's my job to make sure they know where they're spending their money and to help the budget conscious customer get the most house they can for the money that they have to spend. Digressing, that's part of why we took the time and spent the money to have a federal trademark on where quality and affordability meet. I live my life that way. I build that way. It's a great way to go. I want the best combination of price, quality, and service, and that's what I want to provide for our customers.
Flooring, the cost is so high. Why?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If a customer wants to do flooring that gets, above an average, I mean, in general, you can put vinyl and carpet, base grade, nice base grade, not junk or apartment grade stuff, but decent base grade flooring. You can put that in a new home for roughly $2 a square foot, and it works. By the same token, you're financing that over 30 years. So how much do you really want to put in flooring that's going to be changed in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? I don't know. So that's always a question to ask. And then families with young children, there's a harder wear factor on it than there is, with somebody like me living in it. Well, Ellie Mae might be a little rough, but that's a different story. But you're right. You could spend $2 a square foot, and we've had a lot of customers do things like tiled showers. You may have $6,000 in one tiled shower, or you may go to hardwood floor that's $6 or $8 a square foot. You're adding $6 a square foot to the cost of the home right there. So you can start to see where that 70, 75 base is a very misleading number when push comes to shove and somebody's really trying to get things put together. If you've got an unscrupulous contractor, not that there's any of them out there, um, they're going to mislead a customer, lead them down a path, pressure them into signing a contract, and then the customer is less than pleased at the end of the day. I like it when I see a customer in a store 15, 20, 30 years down the road, and we have a cordial conversation, and I hear how much they love their home. I like that. That is good. Oh, yeah. Customer choices have certainly got an impact on what the overall cost is. As an example, the customer in Beaver Creek wanted granite countertops. I get it. They're beautiful. But it's $4,000 more for the granite tops over a Formica top. Whatever they want. But just to be fair, when you're trying to give someone a square foot cost, where do you start and stop with including things that are really customer choice items? And I guess, the long and short of it is, at Schreiner Building Company, we use a very systemized approach to doing our estimating. We work through the process with the customer to draw up a set of plans. I am intimately involved in that. And then Mark in my office, he and I sit down, we go through, and we'll tweak it multiple times just to try to make sure that we're taking advantage of the incremental usage of materials. And by that, I mean you're paying for a 12-foot piece of drywall. If you can use that 12-foot piece of drywall, use it. Don't use 9 foot 11 inches and throw the rest of it away. Or maybe that's the most economical approach. But digressing, your OSB subsiding, it's 4 foot wide. Use it. Your I-joist, you can clear span 20 foot with the 11/7/8 inch I-joist. And that's pretty much what we always use, so we can tuck our HVAC and plumbing up inside the joist. Makes for a really nice basement finish if the customer ever decides to finish the basement. So there are a number of things that come into play that it's advantageous for us to work through the design process with the customer and make sure that we're getting what they need or want as economically as we can. And in some cases, you can square off a house instead of having more corners. You can square it off and actually get more square footage for less money. So anyway, digressing, we will calculate how many cubic yards of concrete, how many tons of gravel, how many 2x4s. We literally have an estimating system in place that I have worked on over the course of, long time. Since I think 1986, 87, I have been working on that system. And it's something that I have continually improved to the point where I'm within 2%, 1 or 2% on a house. And it doesn't matter if it's $1 million home or a $250,000 home. We're pretty tight. When you start going through and doing the math and see what it takes to build the house, it's really easy to track every penny. Then transfer that into a detailed set of specifications so that the customer knows what they're getting, what they're paying for, and I know what it's costing me. From a business perspective, I want to know what the cost of my product is. I want to make money. I don't want the customer to get cheated. I don't want to be cheated. So the most fair way to do it from my perspective, and really it should be from the customer perspective as well, is to systematically price the home, give them exactly what they want, and price it accordingly. And that's what we do. Ray, again, man, I'd like to thank you for coming by and kind of working through this with me. I know there's a lot to this, and, I would just really invite customers, just call me. My cell number, 937-272-8401. Email me, dschreiner@schreinerbuildingcompany.com. Whatever your easiest form of communication, I will grant you. Cell phones work best for me. Texting is wonderful. Email, I'm probably not the best at that, but um, if you got questions, just get hold of me. I'll work through it with you. It's no big deal. I love doing this. The pleasure I get from working through it with a customer. And you and I touched on that a little bit the other day. We scaled this thing back so that I could be intimately involved with every aspect of the build with the customer through the design process, the build process, working with the tradesman and working with the customer, communicating directly so that everything is clear and everything works smoothly as much as possible. There's always hiccups, but I'm on the site every day. All the subs know how to get hold of me. I've worked with most of these guys for years, so they pretty much know what I expect, and I know what they expect. It makes it really good. And the other advantage of working with people for years is the electrician's not going to screw the plumber, and the plumber's not going to screw the electrician because, hey, you know what? That next job's coming, and they got to work together. So we don't have the little squibbles and skirmishes and all that silliness. Not going to put up with it. We don't play that game. We work together. If we have a problem, hey, I'll referee it. We'll sort through it. Not that big a deal. There's nothing we can't work through. I've done this enough. Been doing it a lot of years. Had a lot of opportunity for experience, and got an awesome team to work with. And these are some great guys. You've met most of them by now. And like I said, we worked with them for years. I like that. They're a great group. Without them, I couldn't do what I do, and I've heard that from other people, other builders, buddies in the industry too, that say, why don't you shop around and get better prices from your subs? I really feel like I get pretty competitive prices from them. But again, digressing, that whole aspect of the best combination of price, quality, and service, when you work with someone job after job, everybody there knows what they want, knows what they need, and they do it. They work together. These guys are buddies. They build a relationship over the course of time. So I think that we probably get pretty good numbers from them. And if I go outside of that circle, I now have a new group of people that don't know how it works. They know what to do, but they don't know what the next person expects to have there. That's when you start to have problems that you can so easily get out of or avoid if you just create systems where people are working together, same people, job after job. Makes my life easier, gives the customer a better product, and the guys working in the field, they like it too. It's a win-win for everybody.